everybody, and welcome to Spa Babies, presented by Spendthrift. I'm Dan Illman, along with Nicole Russo, and let's throw up the field for Saturday's Spa Baby race. It is a good one. It's the Sanford, 2-year-olds going 3/4 of a mile, a Grade 3 worth $175,000, and it's really refreshing, Nicole, to see a big full field, and Spendthrift very well represented by their exciting first crop sire, Bolt d'Oro.
Yes, Bolt d'Oro is off to just a flying start, and we'll talk about his first crop a little bit in a minute. But yeah, a big field of 12 here. I think we're going to learn a lot about the character of some of these horses in this race. Get your notebook ready for your trip notes, because I do think that we're going to learn a lot about these horses, and it would not surprise me at all if somebody runs a good fourth, a good fifth, and then comes back and performs well in one of the other historic 2-year-old stakes, the Saratoga Special or the Hopeful, later in this meet.
Let's watch the race replay for the number 1, Papio, one of 2 Bolt d'Oros. This one breaking from the rail for trainer Mark Cassidy. What an impressive debut at Gulfstream Park. Running 5/8 of a mile that day, rallying from off the pace. Usually these 2-year-olds are speedballs. Not so with Papio. He showed a good amount of professionalism, and he has pedigree as a half to Papa Cap.
Yeah, Papa Cap, a very honest horse, multiple Grade 1 placed. And, you know, Bolt d'Oro was a Grade 1 winner himself at 2, so there's precocity on both sides of the pedigree. Bolt d'Oro, a racy physical himself, who looks like he's passing that on. He's leading the freshman earnings list at this early stage with 8 individual winners, including Owen's Leap, who was recently second in the Bashford Manor at Churchill to an exciting colt himself.
And Papio shipping up from Gulfstream, showing no ill effects, it seems, from that debut victory. Big bullet workout, 59 flat at Belmont the other day from Mark Cassidy. The 2 major dude, also by Bolt d'Oro, and we're going to watch his debut. This one at Monmouth for trainer Todd Pletcher, and another horse that sat just off of the pace, was well bet at the windows, and flew on home. Only a 59 buyer, but I like the way he came through in between horses. Another very professional performance, and I'm expecting a faster buyer in the second lifetime start.
Absolutely. You know, I like that you mentioned that he came through between horses, because I think that experience is going to serve him well, drawing toward the inside in this big field here. And Todd Pletcher's done this on occasion. Unveil a 2-year-old at Monmouth in what maybe doesn't look like that strong of a race, and then bring them to Saratoga to run well. Bolt d'Oro on top, and you can't get better than that female family. It's the family of the great personal ensign.
Absolutely fantastic female family with some sprint influences up close. So an intriguing horse for Pletcher, who might actually go off a pretty decent price in this deep field. Speaking of Monmouth, the 3 great Navigator won his debut over the Jersey Shore. We're going to watch that race right now, and he is a New Jersey bred, and he showed some tactical speed. He won the race very, very easily. He was a surprise. He paid $36 that day. He is by Sea Wizard. What can you tell me about Sea Wizard?
Well, Sea Wizard was from that first crop of Uncle Mo, that good first 2-year-old crop by 2-year-old champion and sire of sires, Uncle Mo. Sea Wizard raced twice as a 2-year-old with a second and then a win before going to the sidelines. He hasn't gotten many opportunities, has just 2 foals of racing age, both 2-year-olds of this season, but he's doing well from that limited sample. He's got great Navigator, who is a winner, and he also has a filly who's been 3rd in both her starts at Monmouth to date. Great Navigator beat a next out winner and earned a very respectable buyer in his native state.
Took the words right out of my mouth. 70 buyer speed figure in the debut, and you have to figure it's going to be a good price for low profile connections. Figures to show some tactical speed. Pletcher sends out the 4 Forte, who was 1-5 in his debut. We're going to watch that race at Belmont, going 5/8 of a mile, and again a professional and fast performance, sitting just off the pace, winning with an 81 buyer speed figure. He's by Valenz, an excellent juvenile sire.
Yes, an excellent 2-year-old sire, dominated on debut, earned the highest buyer, not just of the several entrants in here for Todd Pletcher, who's won this race 8 times, but narrowly the best in this field as well. You know, buyers for 2-year-olds, I think you have to kind of, evaluate them with a grain of salt, because these horses can improve by leaps and bounds. But when one runs a solid buyer on debut, you have to sit up and take notice as well.
What an exceptional young crop of stallions with their first 2-year-olds this year. Of course, we saw Justify's filly win the Schuylerville on opening day. We've got Bolt d'Oro. Here's Good Magic with Curly Jack, a debut winner at Churchill Downs for Tom Amos. And this horse showed big speed that day and has some pedigree on the bottom. A half-brother to Fanny and Freddie, who was a multiple stakes winner going slightly longer.
Yeah, and the Dam Connie and Michael, a very good one, won her debut as a 2-year-old, although in the fall, and then went on to be grade 1 placed at 3. And it's interesting that you mentioned both Justify and Good Magic when you're talking about this crop of freshman sires, because Good Magic would have been a classic winner in the Kentucky Derby and a very deserving one, if not for Justify. You certainly can't fault Good Magic's effort that day. A grade 1 winner at 2 when he was a champion, went on to be a grade 1 winner at 3, and you would certainly expect his 2-year-olds to be a good crop based on that championship form.
Top trainer Brad Cox sends out the number 6 Mo Strike off of a debut win at Churchill Downs. Broke from a tough outside post position, but took all the money in a 10-horse field. Showed fine tactical speed, was very game to win in a fighting finish. 70 Beyer speed figure is nothing to sneeze at, and this horse sold up from a $90,000 yearling to a $325,000 2-year-old. Lots of pedigree here.
A lot of pedigree here, and you know, Uncle Mo, we've talked about him being an outstanding 2-year-old sire. You could get a nice price here on an Uncle Mo 2-year-old trained by Brad Cox, teaming up with Florent Giroux. I mean, none of that is anything to sneeze at. Have to note again that this is a maiden winner at Churchill. I do think there were some nice 2-year-olds at that meet, and while it's far too early to talk about trends at all at this Saratoga meet, the top 2 in the Schuylerville yesterday were both Churchill maiden winners.
Next up is the number 7, Prove Right, and talk about Justify. Here's another running son of Justify who has some experience. He won his second lifetime start for trainer James Chapman, who won the Spa Baby race on Friday. He knows how to win with 2-year-olds and sort of under the radar ones as well. Prove Right paid $12, and it was nice to see the progression from start 1 to start 2.
Absolutely. Definitely improved from the first start to the second. For a barn that does well with 2-year-olds, as you mentioned, we'll have to improve again, taking another step up in class here. But Triple Crown winner Justify from his first crop, 2 graded or group winning 2-year-olds already, with Statuette in Ireland and Just Cindy in the Schuylerville on opening day at Saratoga.
Let's take a look at the number 8, I'm Wide Awake's career debut against fellow New York breds for trainer Tony Dutrow. Only a 56 Beyer speed figure, but this one won so easily that I have to think there's a little bit more in the tank, and it's by a speedy stallion.
Absolutely. By Laban, we talked a minute ago about Uncle Mo is a 2-year-old sire, his sons is 2-year-old sires, and this is one of them. And showing a bullet work at Belmont that, yes, suggests there's some more ability there to tap into.
Fabian Pratt takes them out for Tony Dutrow, who won this race a few years ago with Big Trouble. Andiamo a Firenze is up next, and we're going to watch this one's very impressive debut, albeit over a sloppy track for Kelly Breen, who usually does exceptionally well with young horses. Andiamo a Firenze just showed big speed that day, and he won off by 4 lengths. He got an 80 Beyer speed figure, and Miracle Mike is also entered on Sunday, I believe, so you can figure out more about him by watching Andiamo a Firenze. This horse has a strong pedigree, half to Firenze Fire.
Yeah, and what a cool runner Firenze Fire was throughout his career, but starting off as a 2-year-old grade 1 winner. I think this horse will take a lot of money based on that pedigree connection. A very good and very popular horse. Certainly did absolutely nothing wrong on debut while earning an 80 Beyer. If I were going to split hairs between his 80 and Forte's 81 with just that point between them, it's that Forte did it on a dry track. And when a horse wins as impressively on a wet track as Andiamo a Firenze did, you do want to see them replicated under other conditions, I feel.
Like that Steve Asmussen's been aggressive with the 10 Roman Giant. It's the middle of July. This horse has already won 4 times, and he got to the winner's circle last time out at Churchill Downs in gate-to-wire fashion. I also like this pedigree, a little stamina on top, but plenty of speed on the bottom.
Yeah, and you know, being by Carpe Diem from the Giants Causeway line, it makes sense that they tried this horse on turf. That didn't seem to be his favorite surface. While he faced some nice horses, moved forward on the dirt, showed really improved speed. With his speed to get the trip, I think a draw more toward the outside and this big field might be a little bit of an issue. but I like the fitness base that he's coming in with. Trainer Wayne Lucas made a comment this week about the track at Saratoga, which you'll be able to read on DRF.com in the reporting by our colleague David Grenning, that the track at Saratoga, at least at this point of the meet, seems to be pretty deep, pretty sandy. You need a horse with a nice fitness base in them, and I think that that's going to be something to consider, especially early on with these horses. We always say experience counts, but experience or at least a deep work tab might count a little bit more at this point of the meet, the way the track is.
Here's the debut win for the 11. Put the Blame on Me, who scored going 4.5 furlongs at Parks as the odds-on favorite. Not a big buyer speed figure, but trainer Jeremiah Engelhardt knows what he's doing. He wins a high percentage, and he's sort of an under-the-radar guy. Put the Blame on Me should be a good price in this race. There is a lot of turf on this pedigree, maybe to consider a little bit later on in the fall.
I think that's, absolutely where this horse might wind up. Another one from the Uncle Mo sire line by another son of that stallion, and Outwork. And Outwork's horses really remind me of the Uncle Mo horses, the way they run, the way they move. They're athletes. They can get over anything. I think ultimately Outwork will wind up being as versatile as his sire.
Completing the field is the number 12, Valenz and by the speedy stallion Kozan, a debut winner at Belmont Park. Broke very sharp that day, so maybe can sort of overcome this outside post position with a quick break. In the debut, he pressed an odds-on favorite, was a little bit late to change leads, but got it done. And in the Tremont last time out, a good experience builder because he found some traffic.
Yeah, and a solid run even with that traffic trouble. I like that Joel Rosario is staying on him after that. And this one's by Kozan. He's developed into a leading sire, and especially a leading 2-year-old sire in Florida. And he has had some horses, sort of crack the national radar, through the course of his career.
It is a wide open edition of the Grade 3 Sanford. Our coverage, of course, presented by our good friends at Spendthrift. Nicole, who's it going to be?
It was very hard for me to separate some of Todd Pletcher's horses in this spot. I do like Major Dude from that first crop of Spendthrift's Bolt d'Oro quite a bit. Ultimately, I did go with Forte because I feel that he is drawn slightly better in this large field because, as I said, I think we're going to see a lot. I think we're going to see a lot of trip importance. I think we're going to learn a lot about these horses in this spot. I do like Andiamo a Firenze, but ultimately I want him to prove it to me on a dry track. And right up there, I used Great Navigator, the New Jersey bred coming in from Monmouth. I think he could get a piece at a price, as I said, ran very respectably in his debut.
I found it so hard to zone in on just one in this race. On multiple race wagers, I probably have to spread with the 4, 5, and 9. I'm curious to see if Curly Jack can back up his debut at Churchill Downs. The Good Magic Colt showed good speed that day, and you mentioned in a big bulky field, sometimes it comes down to trips. If he can catch a flyer getting out of the gate, maybe he can avoid a little bit of trouble. Really looking forward to the Grade 3 Sanford. It's race number 10 at Saratoga on Saturday. Good luck.